Wake up, wake up, wake up. You've been sleeping too much. Get up, get up, get up. Want some sleepers a bust. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You've been sleeping too much. Get up, get up, get up. Want some sleepers a bust. I'm sorry. Bone Thugs? In this episode, we're going to run down the only sleeper list you need to pay attention to win your fantasy basketball league. We believe every NBA fan should support fantasy basketball content. So if you didn't know, now you know. Hashtag Basketball is one of the most reliable sources for fantasy basketball information. And they just released their full fantasy basketball sleepers list. It is wild, y'all. It breaks down where the player's ADP is and where they're going in mock drafts right now, but it also gives you where they believe they're going to end up, where their ranking is, and they even share their projections for the year. A lot of this is adjustable. We'll leave it standard as is. Right now, it's for a head-to-head category league with standard scoring for ESPN, it looks like. But this is something that can relate to points leagues as well. So I want you to make sure you keep that in mind, whether you're a category league player or a points league player, that I believe there'll be some value here as I unveil this amazing list. Let's take it from the top. As you can see here, the first player on the list is LaMelo Ball. Now, LaMelo Ball is not someone who is typically mentioned in the same conversation with sleepers, because he's someone just a few years ago was actually going in the first round. But I just did a deep dive on LaMelo. And LaMelo has only played more than 47 games in his career one time. That was in his sophomore season, where he played, I believe, 70-something games. Guys, LaMelo Ball is an injury concern. But if we can get old second-year LaMelo back at the value that we're getting him, it would be remarkable, and it would lead to you hopefully winning your fantasy championship. According to Hashtag Basketball's information here, the current ADP for LaMelo Ball at the time of recording this episode is 50.1, but the rank they have for him is 17. Let that sink in. Now, I haven't seen him go as late as 51 in drafts, but I have seen him go in the 20s and even the early 30s. So for me, if LaMelo Ball is hanging around in that late second round, if he's hanging around in that early third round for a points league especially, I would definitely be interested in LaMelo Ball. Next player they have here is Trey Murphy III, a player that I have not been as high on for points leagues. I do believe his value in category leagues is out of this world, like otherworldly value, especially when you look at his ADP of 76.2. Let that sink in. And his ranking is 27. So it looks like folks are sleeping on Trey Murphy III across the board. It's worth noting that the way they kind of aggregate all of this data, they use data from ESPN, they use data from Fantrax, and now that Yahoo is open, very soon Yahoo's going to open their mock drafts, and they'll also put that data in there. What does that do? It creates kind of a jumbled mess, right? Because ESPN, there are a lot of points leagues players on ESPN, where on Yahoo, for example, there might be more category league players, but there are also a ton of points leagues players there, as well as Roto League players. And they don't segment the data. They don't say, hey, this is the ADP for points leagues. Hopefully they get to that point where they're advanced and we can get more accurate data. But a lot of this is just a framework to understand where people are going. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. The next player is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler on this list is ranked as 33 for his ranking, but his ADP is 72. Now, I'm seeing Jimmy Butler go later in drafts in that 6th, 7th round area for mock drafts, and I think that's completely fine. However, he's not a player that I'm reaching for. Although I believe this is value for points leagues, for category leagues, I'm not reaching for Jimmy Butler, for Jimmy $100 cup of coffee Butler. Now, a player I am checking for is Dyson, the Merchant of Theft Daniels, a.k.a. the Burglar, here at 67.3 for his ADP and his ranking at 37. So listen, a guy in category leagues, obviously, he's going to contribute with the steals. Like, that's something you know you're going to get. They're projecting here that he'll average 2.7 steals per game. Now, people often in points leagues say, hey, he's good for category leagues. He's good for points leagues. One thing that I would say about a defensive specialist, for most points leagues, you're going to get heavily weighted value for your defensive stats. So that's something you want to keep in mind. So a player like Dyson Daniels, although he is a darling for category leagues, he also has a ton of value for points leagues. So I know this is a sleeper list, so I know you're not going to sleep. Yes, I said that. Next up is Darius Garland. I think there's tons of value here. Obviously, I have some concerns around his health. He is currently at an ADP of 81.5, and then his rank is 42. They are projecting that he's going to average 19.7 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, 6.6 assists, and 1.3 blocks. Darius Garland, in a normal, healthy fantasy basketball sense, is somebody I'm super high on. I'm not with the question marks. The guy was banged up at the end of the season. That's why he's valuable here. People are scared to draft him. For me, I'm staying away from this. But if he falls and keeps falling at some point, depending on the structure of my roster, I would consider drafting him. However, if I have a person like LaMelo Ball, I'm not going to also draft Darius Garland. I'm just going to stay away from him. Next player is Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis, man, this guy, when he plays, he puts on. But the problem is he don't play. They have him currently at an 89.8 for his ADP and ranked at 35. So, hey, I would be open to drafting Porzingis as long as I didn't have too many of those injury-prone players there. Now, a player who doesn't traditionally have any injury concerns is Cameron Johnson. Now, Cameron Johnson is not the sexiest name. And I know that some people are saying that the swap between Michael Porter Jr. and Cameron Johnson is just like an even swap. I think Cameron Johnson is going to thrive in this new environment. And he's currently at an ADP of 105.1, which is crazy. And his rank is 53, they're saying, right? So for me, I'm looking at that like that might be somebody I want to circle on my draft board to make sure if I continue to see him fall, in the back of my mind, I know that there could be some value there. Now, somebody that the internet is going wild for and somebody that we see going higher in drafts than maybe he should, especially in our mock drafts, because we have a bunch of sharks in our mock drafts, like people who like live, breathe, sleep, eat, and poop fantasy basketball. These guys do not play any games, so he's going way earlier than this. But here we have Deni Avdija. Now, Deni Avdija is projected at being the 60th player according to his ranking, but his ADP right now is 101.8. That's not what I'm seeing in Believe in Fantasy Basketball Points League mock drafts. We do have my man D-Mac as well as my man Matty G, who came onto the channel to actually help us out with some category league content. And Matty did one mock draft, I believe, and they're going to be doing some more category league mock drafts. But where we're seeing him go in the actual points league mock drafts is way higher than this. So I don't imagine in our mock drafts that you're going to see him go at 101. He's going way earlier than that. Speaking of mock drafts, I want to let you know that we are super excited about helping you win your fantasy basketball championship this season and securing that prize money. But in order to win your championship, you need to do some freaking mock drafts. You got to get in the gym. You can't imagine that you're going to win a championship if you're not putting in the work. And we have a community of over 2,000 fantasy basketball fanatics, sickos, people who are obsessed with this that will help you to get the data that you need to make the right decisions for your league. We want you to mock draft with us. We don't want to just mock draft with all of our experts, which we have tons of experts in our community. We have Matty G, we have D-Mac, we have my man Pat Mamba, we have Nick and Ben from Fantasy Basketball Insider, as well as Fantasy Basketball 365. So we have all of these professionals. We have my man Gump, who is a writer for Fantasy Pros, right? So all of these people are part of our team, are part of our unit, and they will mock draft with us. But that's not what gets me pumped up. That's not what gets me excited. What gets me excited is drafting with you. So I want to invite you to join us for one of our fantasy basketball mock drafts. We do it every Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To join one of our mock drafts, all you have to do is be a part of our Discord community. To be a part of our Discord community, all you have to do is visit BelieveInFantasy.com. If you visit BelieveInFantasy.com, you will share your email address with us, and then you'll get an automated email that will share a link to our Discord community. Now, I get it. It's a busy time for mock drafts, so not everyone is able to get into the mock drafts. We only do 12 teams right now. We'll likely do a bunch of 10-team mock drafts, and then we might move up to 14s. But if you want to secure and guarantee a spot for one of our mock drafts, we want to invite you to become an MVP member of our community. Everything we do here at Believe in Fantasy Basketball is free. We have our newsletter is free, our Discord is free, our podcast is free. Everything we do on YouTube is absolutely free, and we will always keep it there. But there are an elite few players who go above and beyond and want to make sure that they have more access to me, they have more access to our experts, and most importantly, they have all of the bonus perks of being an MVP member. Now, what does an MVP membership get you? It gets you access to our private Discord chat with all of our analysts and with all of our experts. So you can reach out to Matty G, you can reach out to DMAC, you can reach out to Robin Marks, you can reach out to our entire team. Also, you get access for the first time ever, a private podcast stream that I'm doing just for the MVP members. I don't even think anybody on the planet is doing this in fantasy sports. Let me know in the comments if you know another channel that does a private podcast stream for their members. Let me know, because it won't be available to the general public. It'll just be available for MVP members. If you choose to become one, it'll just be there for you. And what will we do on that podcast stream? We will actually answer all of the questions that you submit. So I'll record an episode. I'll also send you the link so you can come to the recording of it and drop questions live in the chat, or you can submit them beforehand, and then you get all of your answers. And we'll do that weekly once the season starts. To get into the mock drafts, if you're an MVP member, we'll actually share the link with you before it goes out to the public. So you would get exclusive early access to every one of our mock drafts. So at about 10:20, 10:25, when we share the link for the mock draft, you'll get it first in the MVP channel. So if you want to secure your spot, you can do that by becoming an MVP member. And I got one more thing, y'all, because the value is just stacking. And these are ideas from the community. Our community manager for our Discord, Antech, aka Anthony Rogers, big shout out Antech. Last year, he jumped onto some calls with our members to help them with their drafts in real time. And he wants to do it again. But it's only available this season, you guessed it, for MVP members. So if you want Antech, one of our experts, to show up to your draft on the phone, on a Zoom call, whatever way he's going to do it, you have to be in the MVP Discord chat to coordinate with him. So that's the new bonus. Like, this is crazy, y'all. I'm telling y'all, the MVP is going to be lit this season. Let's get back to the sleeper list. So after Deni Avdija, we have OG Anunoby, who is right now, his ADP is 93.8, but his ranking is 62. OG Anunoby is somebody that I really like. I'm seeing him in mock drafts go a little earlier, but because people know. But this gap is not as egregious as some of the other ones, but I'm definitely looking for OG Anunoby. Next up, we got Mark Williams, who is currently at an ADP of 95.1. He's in a new environment. There are a lot of big men in Phoenix, but I do believe he will carve out a path for value, and his ranking is 50. So I think that's tons of value. And then this one might be the breadwinner chicken dinner from the Los Angeles Lakers, DeAndre Ayton. When I tell you, we did another episode about DeAndre where we talked about the fact that this dude, listen to me, y'all, this dude has averaged a double-double every year of his freaking career. Let that sink in. You know what that means. Top is off, boobies is out, hair blowing in the freaking wind. I don't give a shih tzu puppy. I am circling that name on my draft board and I am paying attention. DeAndre Ayton is currently at an ADP of 112.9. That is ridiculous. That is egregious, unacceptable. But his ranking, 66. I got a couple more players for you. We got Christian Braun, whose ADP is 100, but his rank is 67. And then we have Donovan Clingan, whose ADP is 136.8, but his ranking is 70. I have a confession. I know I said that this is the only list of sleepers that you need to see. I lied. There's more. Check this one out if you want to win your league.